with reading wrap-up time. So as always, here are my stats for the books I read in the month of August, and let's begin as normal from worst to best. I had nothing in my personally not for me category, so next up is the mediocre category, in which I had one book, in which was Bored Gay Werewolf. This had themes of friendship, fake and real, finding yourself, learning to love your life as it is, werewolves and other hidden magical creatures woven into reality. Now this one was a mediocre for me, in which was slightly disappointing as I thought I was going to adore it, but I just found the werewolf aspect being used almost as a scapegoat for the main driving force of this story, in which was a bit of a letdown. I was really hoping for something more. I just found it lackluster in so many different elements in terms of the plot and the characters. There wasn't much development in either, and sadly that is why it is in my mediocre tier. But if you enjoyed those themes, then perhaps you'll enjoy this book. So just because I didn't enjoy it doesn't mean that you won't. So moving on to my next tier, which is the good tier. Starting off with Once Upon a Fever, this had themes of magic in three forms: nature, science and money, based on emotion. Then it also had sisterhood and close family, a theme of unveiling the truth, unlikely tight-knit friendships, mystery, action and adventure. This one was almost a bit of a hidden gem in plain sight for me, as it had been on my TBR for quite some time, so I'm very glad I got around to it this month and ended up enjoying it. So if those themes sound interesting to you, perhaps you'll enjoy it as well. This one was a YA book, if I remember correctly, so there's that to bear in mind as well. The next up is We Play Ourselves, in which had themes of art, discussions around appreciation, expressing yourselves and not everyone understanding what you're trying to do, morals and packaging of it. The main character experiences feel so true to the reader and so real. Then we also have growth and reflection, other characters mirroring what happened to her in the past, and our main character is coaching them through it, and which gives her reflection. So it's almost a bit like you go through something or you have trauma for something, and then a character in the book is also experiencing that, so you're almost giving yourself therapy based on your previous experience and you're coaching them through that, and then it gives you time to reflect on what happened to you. And then also it had the theme of grass always being greener, using it to the max to show the cracks in everyone. This one was a delight, if I can use that word. I thought it was great, well done and beautifully written, and I think just from those themes alone shows how great it was at depictions of characters and using characters and use of fiction and reflection. And yeah, I just sometimes love books that are so centered around characters and have those themes encapsulated in them. Then we have Bounded by Thorns, in which had themes of fae and human worlds combined, typical romantasy tropes, in which includes mates, bonds, princesses, evils and realms. And then it also was predictable and cringy, full of joyous and addictive writing style. I think this one was just a joy from start to finish. I read it in almost one sitting because I just could not put this book down for the life of me. Ended up loving it, and I thought it was fun. It was just exactly what I needed, and I often use these books as just a cleanse for the mind and just to calm myself down and properly escape into a different world, and this did it justice. It was fantastic and I highly recommend. Then we have The Broken Protector, in which I read as part of my Kindle reading vlog, in which is stalking, mystery, action-packed, small-town, protective male love interest and very explicit steamy scenes. This is one of those kind of typical Kindle Unlimited romance books in which sometimes I crave and need to read. I go through really random phases of just wanting to read romance, which is just heavy on the romance, not much plot, a little bit of drama, and this pulled through. I thought it was fantastic. It was fun with other themes mixed in there as well, and yeah, I think it was a delight. So if these themes sound interesting to you, then pick this one up. Maybe also alongside the next one, in which was Love Me Today, which I again read for my Kindle Unlimited vlog, again because I was in that kind of mood to just devour books in the romance genre that was just full of steamy romance elements and then had a bit of drama surrounding it too. This one was a bit of a darker tone. It had dark past, action and trauma opening up, small town, friendships and family, very explicit sex scenes again, and then single parent trope too. I thought this one was quite a bit heavier than the previous one, The Broken Protector. This one was Love Me Today, in case I hadn't said that, but yeah, I thought this one was a bit heavier and darker than the previous book I mentioned, but still just as fun, enjoyable and devourable. Then we move on to my great tier, which is the best of the best, beginning with Lady Macbeth, in which I adored. So this had themes of Macbeth's spin retelling, revenge and women power, dark, gothic and gruesome, action-packed and fast-paced, imaginative setting and beautiful descriptors. I thought this was joyous. It's gruesome and gothic details with this dark, gritty undertone in there. The characters are superbly done, so malicious and evil, and oh, this book was such a joy and delight, and I've been anticipating reading this book and it did not let me down, so I highly recommend it and hope you love it too if you have also been anticipating this book. There's nothing better than anticipating a book and it pulling through. Then we have More Days at the Marizeki Bookshop, which is the second instalment to Days at the Marizeki Bookshop, in which I adored. This had themes of translated Japanese fiction. It was second installment, as I just mentioned, somber tones and real life struggles / challenges, a note of hopefulness, mundanity in its truest form with a hint of light, book lovers and bookshops. I mentioned in my birthday reading vlog, which was when I read this book, that this was a more of a somber undertone than the previous installment, and it did have darker themes too, so just be aware of that, but I still thought it brought so much joy and hope and light into this story in this novel, and I adored this character and these settings and highly recommend. Then we have Wild Love, in which again has been on my TBR for quite some time because it's quite a popular read, so I get scared of hyped books, and this had themes of childhood frenemies to lovers, rich billionaire male love interest, small town family found an actual and addictive writing style. Again, I feel as though it's similar to these Kindle books I mentioned. This romance was just so, you could just get lost in it. You could get lost in the characters and the world. The writing was superb. I just thought it was great, fun, action-packed and joyful, and I definitely recommend. Then the final book I have to discuss with you today in my great tier, and that ends this August reading wrap-up, was my Bunnies Book Club pick for the month of August, in which was Green Dot. I have a full spoiler-filled vlog on that if you are intrigued or have read it yourself and want to know my thoughts, but in summary, the themes in which I discovered in this were affairs and heartbreak, normality of life in your 20s, obsession and addiction to love, and addictive writing style. I feel as though there were so many more themes encapsulated in this book that I couldn't even begin to mention, because I feel as though normality of life in your 20s sums most of them up. It had running away from your problems and realizing that you can't run away from life, obviously family and friendship in there, and love and all the drama that comes with that, and I thought it was perfectly done. It was superb. The characters were fantastic, story, setting, writing style, fantastic, and highly recommend. So those are all of the books in which I read in the month of August. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you have a wonderful day or night. I'd love to hear any books that you read and reviewed in the month of August too. Thank you ever so much for watching, and until next time, friends, bye.